Okay, you get two of these small aluminium blocks with the actual kit, and just make sure you've got the front of the quad. This is front facing, and this basically holds part of the frame, the hinge bit of the frame on the top, and they give you the couple of screws as well, and these are 5mm long. I have just had to drill this out just a tiny bit bigger, just a sort of 1/2 mil on both, because it was just a little bit tight. So I don't know if that will be on all of them or whether it was just a little bit unlucky the way it was, but it certainly didn't line up. So no good trying to force these things. So just for the sake of a tiny little drill, and I only did it by hand anyway, so it wasn't arduous at all. There we go, and just nip those up. That bit all done. Okay, so this is how I'm doing the wiring. I'm sure there's loads of people going to do it a lot different to this. This seems to all fitting pretty well. I think I've fed all the wires through, as you can see, from the ESCs to the motors, and then I've just done a slight twist on the ESCs, so it's taken up a load of the positive and negative wires there. You could shorten the wires, you could spend ages doing that, but I'm going to try and do it this way, and the way my soldering's going, perhaps that would be better. Less soldering is probably going to be a lot better, but I also think it'll work actually. It seems to actually fit in there quite nicely. Obviously the plate's going to go on the top, and if I need to I can put some cable ties on there as well. I've fed the back ESC cables down and along, as you can see here, and they're coming up, and there's enough room there I think just to reach into the CC3D at the top there, so that should fit in pretty well, and it should all be nicely out the way. It won't catch on the battery when it's slid in and out. So there's a few things to think of as you're doing it, but it actually makes it a bit more fun, actually, a little bit of a challenge. And now just going to carry on assembling the frame. You've got these two small spacers and sort of side plates that protect everything. So just slot them in there. I'm actually going to put the JST connector through there. If not, it'll catch on the next plate up, and I don't really want that. And there we go. So those cables are definitely running underneath, and that's all sitting well. Now, just before we assemble the next plate, you have to put a spacer rod in and hold it basically with another one of the 5mm long screws. So I'll try and do this all on camera if I can. There we go. So it's basically just going to slot that into there like that. And you have to make sure this goes to the front. That's the important thing. I'll just nip that up tight. There we go. If you don't do that first of all, when I was just playing around with it a few minutes ago, you're not going to be able to put that screw in afterwards, I don't think. So that's why I've done it this way round. Make sure your cables aren't going to get caught anywhere. Last second check through, everything seems good. And that should just slot over. And make sure, again, front of the quad, make sure this pillar's here. This pillar, I think, is to stop the battery ramming forwards if you have a crash or anything, which is rather good. Now that feels pretty good all around. Nothing should be too tight a fit or difficult to assemble, and these have still got a tiny bit of movement, but I don't think they need cable tying now. I think they're going to work pretty well. These two cables from the back ESCs have come through as well, so they're ready to go. And then I've got really long cables here from the front one. And then just screw the other pillars in as well, or spacers, whatever you want to call them. That just holds everything in position as well. There we go, and I can still get to everything to solder it and move it around if I need to. Your other way would be to test it first and then do the soldering, but I can still get in there and do that. So the next thing to do is get a load more of the 5mm long screws, and they basically just screw in, holding the plate down now. It really does feel pretty good now together. And then we've got the top plate to put on, and again just make sure that there's the hole there to take the middle spacer. Okay, back with the Velcro again. Put a couple of strips of the Velcro in the centre of this top plate, and then I've put another couple of strips of Velcro on the CC3D, so that's going to sit on there. According to stuff that I've seen on the web and everything, it should sit more or less central on the quad. It's quite high up apparently. It's supposed to be right in the middle of the quad, but I'm sure it'll work fine. And then I just need to feed these through and plug them in. So I'm simply bringing number 3 motor, as you can see, up through the frame there. Number 4 motor from the ESCs. And then these two, they're really long, so all I'm going to do there is just wrap them around these standoffs or spacers here. So I'm just going to wrap them around there. That's them all fed through, and I've just zoomed in a bit. I don't know if you'll be able to pick this up on camera, but basically there's the signal ones, the top one, the middle one is the positive, and the bottom one is the ground or earth. So just make sure these are round the correct way, so brown to the bottom basically on the way I'm doing this. Depends how you're going to mount your CC3D, but do make sure these are in the correct order. And very simply, obviously with numbering them earlier, we just make sure they go in around the right way. So my one here is basically the signal wires to the top. That's all I have to remember really. And then 3 into there. I have to ease that one up. There we go. Number 2. And basically you just need to make sure, as I say, the signal wires are all on the top with the way this one's configured. And the other of the aluminium blocks, which is actually the larger one of the two, goes on the back here. Okay, next I'm going to build the basically the small frame that holds the canopy, and it tilts as well on this model. So basically you need these bits, and according to the diagram it all goes together pretty well. This is the thing that's going to hold the camera, and then the next plate in is this one. And at the moment, as you can see, it's going together pretty well. Just said that on camera, can't believe it just did that. There we go. Whoa. And then this one goes at the back like that. There we go. Oops. I think this is going to be a case of patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time, I think. There we go. There we go, and just the last one to go together. That just goes in round that way, from what I can see. There we go. Well, that wasn't too bad. There we go. And then to assemble that, we simply use these spacers again, or the standoffs, whatever you want to call them. And they just simply slot in. Though it doesn't show it particularly well on the actual diagram, I'm pretty sure we'll be using these, because I think these help it stand off so that we get the so we can get the canopy on. So we'll see how we go. If not, I should be making another video. So just screw those two into there, and that's at least going to hold the frame together. Pretty sure that's how it will go. I'm just going to try it with the canopy anyway. Yeah, that's going to... Ooh, it seems a long way off. Oh no, it's not too far. That does just going to nip into there and there. So, yep. That pretty much seems how it works. Another one in the back here. Goes into there. I must admit, out of all there's only that one bit that I had to slightly drill out, and it was only just a tiny bit out, to be honest. So everything else seems to have gone together really well. You know what's going to happen now, don't you? It's coming up nice and strong. And the last one goes in over the back here. Okay, so that's it all finished. As you can see, it's now becoming quite strong, and this, for want of a better term, would be the top frame of the quad, I would say. And now we've gone back to the main frame, and as you can see, the whole thing's really starting to come together now. The top bit sits on like this, so it sits on the back here and it sits on the front here, and it rests on these bits here as well, so it's actually good design. It's feeling really solid, and from what I can understand, I think there's a couple of screws need to go in the front and obviously hold it at the back as well, but I think the design is you just take out the back ones and then you can tilt it forward to get at anything you may need to. We've got to fit the camera into here obviously, and then we've got to run the wiring through for the receiver for the actual quad itself, and then obviously we need the transmitter from the camera to go back to the FPV system, and I'll do that all in the next video.